Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Ayer Select Board meeting for Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the open meeting law are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom and Channel 8. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom with the meeting ID number 897-9080-0793 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager, at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220 extension 100 prior to the meeting. If we could do the Pledge of Allegiance first. The Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda as it was presented?
I do not have
I
any.
have none.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, and so the agenda is approved as it was presented. I do have two announcements this evening. The first is that the winter parking ban is in effect from November 15th through April 15th. This annual parking ban prohibits parking any motor vehicle on any street or sidewalk in the town of Ayer between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. The winter parking ban also prohibits parking on any motor vehicle on any street or sidewalk in the town of Ayer during a snowstorm. Next, I'd like to have a moment of silence, please. We'd like to observe a moment of silence for Paul D. Bresnahan, who passed away recently. Paul was a member of the Board of Selectmen for 9 years, board member and chairman at North Middlesex Savings Bank for 25 years, advisory board member of Neshoba Valley Medical Center, and a member of the Ayer High School School Council. Most recently, Paul served as an elected member of the Board of Assessors. So we have a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. All right, that brings us to our public input section. Is there anybody on the line for public input this evening?
Lori is.
Hi, Lori. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
I just wanted to make a very brief statement on behalf of Paul Bresnahan and in his memory, and that when I first became involved in environmental issues in Ayer and came to my very first select board meeting, which was then called Board of Selectmen, he had a copy of an article that I had published and had underlined my name. He was on the board and made some very supportive comments way back when, and throughout his stay on the Board of Selectmen, he was very helpful, and I really miss him. I think we all do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with no other, doesn't appear any other public input. We'll move to our next agenda item, which is a reserve fund transfer request for the Council on Aging. And it looks like we have Dr. Petrossi on.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Pomperian.
Chair, members of the board, I just want to introduce Katie on this topic for the reserve fund transfer, which she'll speak to the board about the need for this. But I just wanted to also add that the senior center, through Katie's hard work over the last 2 months, opened on Monday for the first time for the public, for seniors in a very long time. And I encourage the board, if you get a chance, I had an opportunity this morning to see what she has done in just 2 months' time at the existing space is absolutely spectacular. So I encourage the board, if you get a chance, to go check out the new space. And I know that this RFT that she is seeking is for another exciting improvement for our seniors at the center. So with that, I'll turn it over to Katie.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your kind words, Robert. So I'm requesting $4,500 for the purchase of my senior center software, which is the predominant used software in centers to track user data, to allow us to schedule programs, track participation. It's very helpful if there's changes to event details. I can select only the seniors that were enrolled in a particular program and send out either an email or a mass phone message to let them know. And it's also helpful for contact tracing purposes. I can quickly see who was in a building in any given day and get in touch with just those folks discreetly. Let's see. It also helps simplify the Executive Office of Elder Affairs reporting. In fact, I can just sort of spit that out as well as mock reporting and to some degree MART reporting as well.
Any questions for Dr. Chelsea?
No, but I would like to say welcome. The first time I've seen you, so we're very happy to have you.
Great, thank you.
Look at that, she's already asking for money.
No questions for me, thank you.
Okay.
No, that seems
I don't
pretty
need-
straightforward.
Yeah. And this is, Dr. Frost, this is like the standard and for most senior centers, correct? So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And for any of our seniors who are currently visiting other senior centers, the key tag that they use to check in will work across all of the senior centers.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay, so if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the select board approve the reserve fund transfer in the amount of $4,500 in the account name of Council on Aging, other charges and expenses, account number 01541-57000.
Second,
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
aye.
And the chair votes aye. And it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings our next agenda item, which is Chief Brian Gill.
Hello.
Hello, Chief Gill, how are you?
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. I don't know, Mr. Pomprian, do you lead in or do you want me to jump right into it?
Why don't you, members of the board, Chair, just briefly, as this board knows and has been supportive of, the Air Police Department has been working over the last several years to achieve Massachusetts police accreditation status. And I want to give a special thanks to Chief Gill for all of his efforts. And also I want to publicly recognize retired police chief Bill Murray, who put a lot of work into this from the beginning and has worked closely with Chief Gill towards the conclusion of this exciting process. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to the chief to report the good news and the next steps. Chief.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pomprian. So I wrote a memo that's in your packet and well, it was quite a stellar memo. So I'm just going to read that for everybody that's in attendance tonight. I'm extremely proud to announce that on September 23rd, 2021, the Air Police Department was awarded the prestigious status of certification by the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission. As noted in their award letter, Achieving state certification demonstrates your department's commitment to delivering an exemplary level of police service in your community. Achieving this official accreditation was a long-standing goal of the Air Police Department that began in earnest during the summer of 2019 when we entered into a phase that's called self-assessment. A team was formed to go into that, and that was consisting of myself, Chief Murray, Sergeant Andrew Kolarski, and Detective Barheit. And we were tasked with reviewing the department's policies and procedures and ensuring that they met 159 standards or best practices in law enforcement identified by the commission. This period of self-review was not easy. Long-standing processes had to be assessed, critiqued, and sometimes changed in order to meet these best practices. Once we believed we had met all these standards prescribed, we requested that the commission convene an assessing team to evaluate our department. This award is the culmination of all that hard work. This is not only a huge achievement for the Air Police Department, it's also one that belongs to the town of Ayer. And as such, I would like to present the select board with a plaque awarded by the commission to be proudly hung in Town Hall, commemorating this accomplishment. So we have a picture of the plaque that we hope that the select board will accept and hang in Town Hall.
I'll accept.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, and
It's
congratulations.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, now I'm reading off the cuff now. So it was, the process was, it's a pretty involved process. It's a voluntary process that we embarked on to, as the letter said, to make sure that we were offering the best services that we could to the town of Ayer. We worked hard all through COVID, even when there was a stoppage with the commission working, we still worked behind the scenes to just kind of keep plodding along. So it was a really, really long 2 years. And then even once we had the assessment team come in here and assess us on site, it didn't stop. There was approximately another 4 months of assessing by the commission where we had to answer a lot of questions behind the scenes and things like that. So it's a very rigorous process. There's probably maybe just under half the state that's achieved this. So we're pretty proud of this accomplishment. And we're really not stopping there. We're going to the next level. We've been working on that, and that's called accreditation, where we have to meet approximately another 160 to 170 areas or these best practices. So we're moving along. We're really striving to get the best police services that we can for the town of Ayer.
Very nice.
That's excellent.
So
And you know what,
for your
Chief,
support.
you do provide a wonderful service to the town of Ayer. All of you do. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. And I'll make sure I'll pass that along to everybody.
Please do. And you're right, it was a stellar memo.
Thank you very
Mr.
much,
Chair-
everybody.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, so the actual plaque that you saw the image of, we will arrange to have displayed in the Selectmen's meeting room on the first floor of Town Hall. And then Chief Gill has informed me they have an identical plaque that will be put up at the police station. So quite an accomplishment.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Great. Our next item is public hearing for calendar 2022 solid waste transfer station rates. Board
All
Member
right,
Livingston.
Mr. Chair. All right. Town of Ayer, notice of public hearing, Ayer Select Board, calendar year 2022 solid waste transfer station rates. The Ayer Select Board will be conducting a remote public hearing on Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021 at 6:15 p.m. The Select Board, in their legal capacity as the rate-setting authority for the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund transfer station, will hear the report and recommendations of the Town's Rate Review Committee, take public comments, and consider approval and adoption of the calendar year 2022 solid waste transfer station rates. For Zoom call-in information, please contact Assistant Town Manager Carly Antonellis at 978-772-8220, extension 100, or at atm@ayer.ma.us. The Date of public hearing, Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. Time of public hearing, 6:15 PM. Location of public hearing, remote participation meeting held on Zoom, Zoom ID 897-9080-0793. Meeting materials and information may be obtained by contacting Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Pombrian.
before I turn it over to Director Van Schalwick, who will give the presentation, I just wanted to recognize the members of the Rate Review Committee. The Rate Review Committee is chaired by Select Board Member Janice Livingston, Mr. Mark Smith, the Vice Chair of the Finance Committee, Mr. Rick Scotchless, resident, Pam Martin, DPW Business Manager, Mark Wetzel as the DPW Director. This was one of his final tasks, and we thank him for putting together the presentation in your packet. Dan Van Schalwick, our new DPW Director, Lisa Gabri, the Finance Manager, and myself as the Town Manager. And so through you, Mr. Chairman, to turn it over to Dan to go over the presentation, which consists of the Rate Committee's recommendation. You also have in your packet, in addition to the presentation, the minutes of the last Rate Review Committee where the recommendation was made and voted. And you also have Mark Wetzel's memo for that meeting as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to the DPW Director.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Dan, before
Hi,
you
Dan.
start, do you want me to share the screen or do you have the presentation?
I have it. It's probably easier if I just do it.
Okay.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Dan.
I'll share the screen here with the presentation. There. Hold on. Okay, I think I'm good. You guys see the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the presentation, this is the recommended transfer station fees. Today's November 2nd, 2021, and this is from the Ayer Rate Review Committee. So just an overview, solid waste disposal transfer station operations, it's an enterprise fund. So there's separate accounting, fees and rates are charged for solid waste services. Our revenue, it's based on annual permit sales and the pay-as-you-throw bag sales. And our current budget is subsidized by the general fund, meaning the taxes, by approximately 40%. The town transfer station operation, so we have municipal solid waste, trash, recycling, zero sort up there, food waste collection, bulk items. We have yard waste, process and haul to our brush dump on Bishop Road, which we manage. There's the swap shed, which everyone loves, and book, textile, metal recycling. The current fees right now for an annual permit are $95, senior citizen rate 60, a second permit 30, a one-day permit 15, and the pay-as-you-throw bags are for the 15, 33, and 50 gallon is $4, $5, and $6. Bulk tags, $5 each. Here's kind of a list of some of the bulk items. I'm not going to run through it, but skip over that. FY22 budget. So here's a breakdown of the FY22 budget. The total budget, $528,382. We have a general fund subsidy of $160,000 and retained earnings of $35,000. So we need to create a revenue of $333,382. And so to do that, well, before we get into that, budget issues, FY22 budget, it's lower than FY21 due to retiring debt payments. The FY22 solid waste disposal costs, our recycling costs, and our bag costs have increased by 10%. So just the cost of removing the waste and actually obtaining the bags from the supplier that we use have gone up. FY23 budget is anticipated to increase by 15 to 20%. So this is also in lieu of the same thing, the solid waste and recycling costs going up and bag costs. And we have to go out to rebid for our contract for recycling and waste disposal this year. Usually we have a 1 year, well, it's a 3-year contract. Well, sorry, it's really a 1-year contract with 2 1-year add-ons. So we have 3 years kind of built into our bid. So it's actually due or ending on June 30th. So we're gonna have to rebid out for that. So right now we're expecting that to go up. Total number of transfer station users is decreasing every year and senior permit sales are increasing. So this is kind of a graph showing trends. And it shows kind of when you're in 2017, 18, 19, especially the regular bags, regular stickers were going down and seniors were going up. Transfer station permits by group. You can see that regular is the highest, but senior isn't too far behind it. And then we have second stickers as well. So the rate model used to estimate revenue generated from permit sales and bag sales. That's what we use as a rate model. We assume that fees would need to generate approximately $357K based on FY22 budget and preliminary FY23 budget. So we sell our bags from January 1, we sell it, not our bags, our stickers from January 1 to December 31st. That's when they're good from. So it actually straddles 2 fiscal years. So that's why we're looking at early FY23 and late FY22. That's next year. Different rate scenarios for increases in permit fee and bag prices can easily be evaluated with our model. And Mark actually did all the background work on this. Rate and fee discussion. So the committee evaluated 10 different rate scenarios for bag and permit increases. Pay-as-you-throw bag fee increase from last July should result in increased revenue. So we did that last July. And the current fees should generate about $348K. And we'll review revenues and expenses in spring of 2022 as well. So the recommendation from the committee was to increase the annual permit, the regular permit cost from $95 to $100, so $5 increase. The remaining prices would stay the same: senior citizen permit, pay-as-you-throw bags, and so on. So when you break it down by cost to residents, the current cost for regular permit, and you assume 70 medium bags, you're at $445. The proposed cost adds $5 to that $450, and the senior rate remains unchanged. An increase in total cost of 1%, increase in permit fee of 5%. So that's the presentation. I'll stop my share here. You can have a discussion.
Any questions, Scott or Janice? You're on the board, so or the committee either.
Just one thing I just want to point out, that when you look at the graph, the transfer station permits by group, it's not a dramatic change over the years. I'm sure that if we were to look at the numbers, obviously it's going to play out better than how it kind of shows up on the graph. But it's almost like cyclical. It's like 2013 regular permits were at the 800 mark. Then they dipped down a little bit. Then they went back up in 2016 and 17. So if you look, it just kind of goes like this. The pandemic obviously affected things because people couldn't go out. So some of them did sign up for, service to come to their house. But at the same time, we do have these outside sources that drive the rates with the bags and things like that, and the recycling. But yes, the numbers do kind of decrease on the regular and the senior up, but looking at this graph, they really don't dip as much as one would think. So I think it's kind of cyclical, and as people move in, you mention it to them, some like it and some don't. It's all a preference thing. So
Scott, yes.
I It's a couple of, I guess, questions around the operations. I know this is more about the rates, but looking at the increased costs that we're having, but some declining numbers on permit usage. I know we talked about this as a board in the past, looking at making it more user-friendly, things such as changing the hours around so we can have one evening during the week that it's open till, say, 7 o'clock, 7 or 8 o'clock. And also looking, I know some towns are also looking at the scope of their recycling, where we have single stream recycling that takes pretty much everything and anything on the plastic front. Some are starting to look at the plastics going to a more smaller scope on the recycling that might that also brings their costs down for the recycling, since for the last few years recycling has flipped from a revenue stream to an expense stream. So is anything like that kind of discussed with the committee as, like, I guess maybe a next step before we get to next year?
No, nothing like that has been discussed as far as, like, the scope that you're talking about, but I think it's a good thing to discuss.
And just to add on to that, Selectman Hood, when Director Van Schalwick assumed his new position, we've discussed, and I think we can all agree, I know the Rate Review Committee talks about this pretty much every time they meet, and I know we have at the board level, that we are obviously looking at the issue of sustainability of the transfer station, which you touch upon some of those ideas tonight. So I think in the near future, in talking with Dan, we would like to come to the Rate Review Committee with some further discussion, and of course, the Select Board as well, especially in the spring, looking at all of this. Also, the Department of Public Works collective bargaining agreement is going to be up for negotiation. So I'll be talking with the board when you mention about hours of operation and so forth, about some of those ideas. So we are committed to looking at, we know we have a sustainability challenge, and we're committed to looking at working on that. I think Mr. Smith, the vice chair of the FinCom at the last meeting, said it best, that eventually with the current trend, we could get into a concerning area on the financial part of it. To conclude, I think that the recommendation tonight, just to raise the, and I think this is clear, and Selectman Livingston says this every meeting, I think we all do, nobody wants to raise rates or permits, contrary to maybe public opinion, nobody wants to raise rates. However, we also have to be responsible to the sustainability of it. So the bags were raised last time, as Janice mentioned, when we looked at the different scenarios. This is a modest increase of the $5 just to the regular permit. It doesn't impact senior citizens. It doesn't increase any of the bag costs. And we're confident by this $5 increase that will continue to operate and be sustainable. And we'll continue to work with the Rate Review Committee with an update to the board as we get into the spring moving forward. But all good points, Scott, that you brought up.
It's important to note too that the transfer station is never going to make money, and that's and I agree with the trends the way they are right now. However, if you look at what's been going on with this, what is it, the COP26 thing that's been going on in the news or whatnot, we could see another change coming forward in the years, as far as how we all take care of our trash, and it could move back towards a transfer station way or something. I mean, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I thank you for the insight. We will discuss that.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment, Laurie Sable.
Okay, hi Laura.
Hi. I honestly didn't even know that this was going to be discussed at this meeting. I was here to listen to the PACE program, but and I'm not speaking as a former recycling chair. I just wanted to echo Scott Hood's comments about improving the usability of the transfer station, and also thinking about some kind of education campaign not only to encourage people to recycle more, but to keep in mind the other two R's in that circle of reducing and reusing materials. There's a lot of boilerplate materials available through Mass DEP and other public relations outfits that are focusing on recycling education or sustainability education. And I would highly recommend that the DPW or at least the trash and recycling area of the DPW consider looking into those kinds of educational campaigns, many of which are also able to be funded through money that doesn't have to come out of the DPW's account.
Great, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Lori.
Yep.
All right, is there any more comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. O'Connor.
Yes, I had a question as a resident who uses the trash collection programs through waste management. Could there be, for a future rate review, a consideration for someone who wanted to come and use the swap shed, but was already doing the recycling collection and the trash collection via a service contract?
Oh, are you suggesting possibly that we discuss like a permit that could be purchased just for swap shed?
Yeah,
Well,
because
that
I
would be
think
the day permit. That would be the day permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that each individual time you'd come to the swap shed, you'd pay $15?
Yeah. So it's
Oh.
either, get the whole permit, or then, you could always like save it. So, you only went like once a month or something, but yes, unfortunately, yes. Because otherwise that's not fair to other residents who, are having to pay and whatnot. So yes, that would be the day pass, which also in the day pass, if there was other stuff like, leaves or whatever, or metal, you could drop off too.
Oh, I was just thinking about the recycling of, or finding a reuse for some of the furniture that might be replaced and someone else may want it. And in my particular condo community, we can't have yard sales. So that's why I was encouraged to bring new and nice items down to the swap shed for other people to use. But I guess the only option I would have then is to buy an annual permit, because to use the swap shed once a month would cost me $180.
More, yeah.
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 Okay, I just thought it was an idea for consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you, James. Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. This is Lori Nearing.
Yes, Laura.
I actually think Mr. O'Connor's idea is an interesting one. And if we're trying to see keeping stuff out of the landfill, a lot of the stuff at the end of the day gets thrown out. And if other people can come in and out and use it, I would be okay with that. I'm speaking for myself. Maybe there can be something figured out with this. Maybe it can be discussed again with a further kind of a sticker. And a completely different topic is, I wondered if we could figure out some way of having a bin for styrofoam, because when you purchase a new product, you oftentimes get blocks of styrofoam, which can fill an entire bag if you're trying to, put it in the trash correctly. And if we can come up with some system for styrofoam, that would be really appreciated. Thank you.
I agree that styrofoam is a mess. I mean, the idea about the swap shed, but you have to remember that there'd have to be some type of a sticker on somebody's car. Otherwise, somebody coming in to supposedly just use the swap shed, which I think Jim would just do, is using him as an example because he brought it up. But then somebody else would take advantage of, other things up at the transfer station. And therein lies the problem. So it would have to be some type of a sticker that said, I'm here to use only the swap shed. And then if people caught them, of course, that can be an argument too. But if we start just allowing people to go in and then they start taking care of other things, therein lies the problem. We run into the cost too. So, but all good conversations for discussion.
Perhaps the swap shed could be positioned differently so that it's, and then
I have always had a wonderful idea that, you know, people laughed, Robert, where we could have a separate entrance just to the swap shed and have, you know, like the key card and everything. I mean, I've had some wonderful ideas because the swap shed is very, very popular. I think that it should be maybe utilized a little more than we can get to it. But I was too out there with my idea, so. But I agree. I think we need to figure out a better way to get in and out of that swap shed.
I would certainly like to see that happen, Janice. And thank you, Lori, for your support on this novel idea. But I just hate to see people throwing usable items away when there may be somebody that can use them. It's like one man's refuse is another man's treasure.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. But you know, the other problem is that, you know, we're of the mindset to do those things. Some people aren't in that mindset to do it. And there becomes back to the conversation that was brought up earlier about education. So that could be part of like the education that, you know, we put out there, because some people just don't get into that mindset for whatever reason. It just doesn't click in a way that we think it should click. So we can add that to the education too.
Thank you.
So who might, would it be this rate committee that would discuss all these ideas, or would you appoint some other kind of citizens group or some combination of the current recycling committee and some other group to go into this? These are all really good ideas, and I hope that some of them can actually at least be discussed in the appropriate place.
Mr. Chair.
So I'll start off with making sure that it gets brought up at the rate review, and then I think we should all be thinking about as to how to go forward with that. As far as like it was brought up, as far as, you know, should there be another committee to look in this? But so that's where we can start at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to do a deeper dive with a separate task force on this. You know, the rate review committee, I think, has a lot of other things going on, and I'd like to, you know, I think have the opportunity to include the recycling committee also to kind of look at, really just kind of look at the whole operations of the transfer station and look at where our shortcomings are and where our opportunities are. You know, the ideas around the swap shed are good. You know, I've been there first thing in the morning when they're throwing out everything from the previous day. So it is very disheartening to see the amount of stuff. And it's not necessarily the amount of stuff that goes into the swap shed, but the quality of stuff is not necessarily reusable, unfortunately. So, you know, it kind of becomes a drain on the expenses for the transfer station, you know. So I think this needs a larger conversation, probably in the near term as opposed to the far term, so we don't get to the next rate review committee meeting to discuss the transfer station's rates and it hasn't really been dug into.
If I
It's
could.
Mr. Poprian. Robert and then Janice.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think taking copious notes here, there's sort of 5 major areas here, and just so folks understand that the transfer station, the administration of the transfer station is ultimately under the DPW director, who I know is taking notes as well, with, you know, policy set by the select board. So, for example, I think he and I meeting with the recycling committee and reporting back to the boards, for example, on the issue of the styrofoam bin for recycling, would connect with the recycling committee, see what options are there, and come up with a recommendation. I think on what Lori mentioned, Lori Sabal, on the education program and the other reduce and reuse, Dan and I, you know, connect with the recycle committee, come back to the select board as well. So we keep these things moving forward. And I know the rate review committee has talked about further promotion of the services available at the transfer station. I think to Jim O'Connor's suggestion about a special swap shed type of permit type of thing, again, the director and I take a look at that at the next rate review committee. I think as Janice mentioned, let's take a look at that because that's sort of a permit under the rates of the committee. The location of the swap shed and those things we can discuss. The DPW director and I can look at that. And then the last piece is folks have brought up, as Selectman Hood has tonight, and this has been brought up previously, about changing the hours of operation and so forth. I will be discussing that with the select board as a collective bargaining issue, because the DPW staff up there are unionized. The contract is up. And we will be looking at that as well. So to conclude, I think a collaboration between the recycling committee on some of these things, rate review, select board, Dan and I, and there's a great input. We can keep moving this forward.
Thank you, Robert. And Janice?
So I just wanted to mention this before I forgot. So now this happens to be in Sanborn, New Hampshire, a transfer station up there, okay? But it's really impressive because it turns out they have a bunch of volunteers that help out with the swap shed. There's a big building you can walk into. They're hanging up the clothes at one part. They're putting the shoes over here. I mean, it is impressive. Now, I know it's been discussed before as far as like a senior tax work off. Seniors don't happen to want to be up there because they feel like they're ratting out their neighbors. But I think, and I wanted to mention it now so that it doesn't get forgotten, but it's something else to add to the list to be discussed as to another way of even doing some things up there. Their transfer station up there, again, it's New Hampshire, so it's totally different, world up there, but it was really an impressive setup that I think was very interesting.
Great, thank you. There's no other discussion on the rates. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended rates for the transfer station with a $5 increase to the annual permit and no change to the other costs as presented.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And the rate increase is approved.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And we are out of public session, or public hearing, rather.
We're still in public session.
Still public session, no public hearing. Very tired today. All right. So then next up is Dan again.
Yeah, good evening again. So I have one agenda item tonight for DPW, and it's an execution of a memorandum of understanding and license agreement with Littleton Electric Light Department. And basically the construction we're doing for the PFAS treatment plant at Spectacle Pond water treatment plant. The water treatment plant electricity is serviced by Littleton Electric Light Department, and they need to extend that service to the new building. So there's a couple utility poles and some underground electric, and ultimately they're going to need an easement for that. But in the interim, they can continue with construction under an MOU and license agreement, which I prepared with town council and Carly, and it was in your packet. So it's been reviewed by them, and it's the requested motion is to vote to execute the MOU license agreement with Littleton Electric Light Department for signature by the chair.
Any questions on this, Scott or Janice?
No questions.
Okay, I didn't have any questions either, so I'll entertain a motion. Janice, you're on mute. There
Sorry.
you go.
God, it was sounding so great too. I'll make a motion that the board vote to execute the MOU license agreement with Littleton Electric Light Department for the Spectacle Pond Water Treatment Plant PFAS project for signature by the chair.
Second.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a great night.
You too.
All right, that brings us to our next agenda item, which is a update from PACE on the PFAS human health study.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take the lead if that's okay.
Absolutely, go ahead, Lori. Thank
Okay, great. Thanks. Well, we really appreciate the time you're allowing us. The purpose of our presentation is to give a very quick overview of PFAS, just for folks who need that. That will be the fast part. We know that you pretty much know about the PFAS situation. We're going to be focusing on the health study, and I want to highlight that we've been working with Laurel Shader. She has been, Dr. Laurel Shader has been leading this. She's with Silent Spring Institute. She's a senior research associate there, and she has a range of organizations that are also involved in this grant. And I want to just sort of emphasize that Ayer is really privileged and lucky to be part of this program. It's a national study. It's being funded by the federal government. We'll walk through a couple quick slides on that. But there are only 8 places in the whole country that are part of this study, and we have been selected to be one of those 8. So it's a big privilege to be part of it, and we will be needing support from the select board. So that's why we're kind of presenting to you tonight, from other boards in town, and especially from citizens to step forward and become involved in the actual study when we get that started. So we're here to sort of explain that study and to respond to your questions. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Laurel Shader, who I think, Laurel, are you sharing your picture somewhere?
I am. Can you all see my slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. Well, thanks for that introduction, Lori. It's nice to be here and to see all of you and meet you all. And so I'm a senior scientist at Silent Spring Institute. I've been working on issues related to PFAS and water quality since 2009. And as Lori said, I'm the lead investigator on the Massachusetts PFAS and Your Health study. It's been really great to work with Lori and other members of PACE and to get to know people in the town of Ayer as well. We feel really lucky as well to be partnering with all of you on this study. So I know we don't have a lot of time tonight, so we've put a slide presentation together to provide some background information about PFAS and then to introduce all of you to the health study and hopefully have some time for questions at the end. So I'm sure all of you are aware that PFAS are in the news all over the country and locally. So here's a picture of Mark Wetzel and the water treatment that's being installed at Grove Pond. Ayer has really done a great job at taking the initiative to address the PFAS water contamination issue. Ayer is not alone in addressing these types of challenges. With the new drinking water standard that the Department of Environmental Protection established last fall, more and more communities in Massachusetts are testing for and finding PFAS in their drinking water. And so I'm sure other towns will be looking to Ayer as a guide for how to address these types of challenges. So my guess is that all of you have become familiar with PFAS over the past few years, but in case this is a newer topic for you, PFAS stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. It's really an umbrella term. The EPA estimates that there are over 9,000 different compounds that fall under this big umbrella called PFAS. As a class, these chemicals are all synthetic or man-made chemicals. They are extremely resistant to degradation, and they're mobile in the environment. So some PFAS have been found as far away as the Arctic and Antarctic. PFAS are not new. They've been used in consumer products since the 1950s, but they've really only emerged as a public health concern just in the past 5 or 10 years. And this is due in large part to their widespread discovery in drinking water supplies all across the country and all around the world. If you'd like to learn more about PFAS, you might want to watch the film Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo and Anne Hathaway. It depicts the struggles of a community in West Virginia that addressed contamination from a DuPont plant and the heroic efforts of a lawyer to find justice for the people in the community. And there's another film called The Devil We Know, which is a documentary about the same community. For those of you who get excited about chemistry, I'm just showing one specific PFAS chemical called PFOA, so you can get a sense of what their chemical structures look like. So you may not have heard of PFAS, and when you go to the store, you don't see PFAS usually listed on product labels, but PFAS are common in many different types of consumer products. In general, they're added to many non-stick, stain-resistant, and waterproof types of products. Some have names that you might recognize, like Teflon, Gore-Tex, Scotchgard, or Stainmaster, but a lot of times you can't really tell which products do or don't contain PFAS. PFAS contamination is widespread across the US. The Environmental Working Group has estimated that 200 million Americans have at least some trace of PFAS in their drinking water supply. This is a map that EWG has put together of sites where PFAS have been detected. You'll notice that some states have a lot of dots. That doesn't necessarily mean those are the most contaminated states, and it may be due in large part to the fact that these are states that have started to do more extensive testing. And I wouldn't be surprised in other parts of the country that there will be more dots filling in as more testing gets underway. This is all concerning because not only are PFAS persistent in the environment, but certain PFAS can also stay in our bodies for months or even years. Testing by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have found that over 99% of Americans have traces of PFAS in our bodies. And this is concerning because certain PFAS chemicals have been linked to harmful health effects, including elevated cholesterol, testicular and kidney cancer, developmental effects, ulcerative colitis, thyroid disruption, decreased birth weight, changes in liver enzymes, preeclampsia or high blood pressure during pregnancy. And I wanted to highlight this last one, immune system toxicity, including decreased vaccine response. With the COVID pandemic on everyone's minds and everyone thinking about antibodies and vaccines, it does raise concerns that highly exposed communities may be more susceptible to COVID-19. So now I'll tell you a bit more about the PFAS health study. So this is, as Lori mentioned, this is really a national effort that's being funded and coordinated by the CDC and by ATSDR, which stands for Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry. So the goal for the study is to involve communities in different states that all have a history of PFAS drinking water contamination. So you can see on the map here, the 7 states that are included in the study, including Massachusetts. So our study is one of 7 studies within this broader multi-site study, and we're calling our study the Massachusetts PFAS in Your Health Study. So Silent Spring Institute is leading this effort in collaboration with researchers from the Harvard School of Public Health and Eastern Research Group, and we're partnering with community organizations in Hyannis and in Ayer, which are the 2 communities in our study. So we're working with the Massachusetts Breast Cancer Coalition in Hyannis, and then we're proud to be partnering with Lori and the other members of PACE here in Ayer. So across the 2 communities, we've been tasked with recruiting 1,000 adults and 300 children combined across the 2 communities. And the CDC has specified that all 7 projects should aim to have that same goal. So overall, there will be almost 10,000 people taking part in the study across the whole country. In Hyannis, we're aiming to recruit about 2/3 of our study population there, given that the community is about twice as large as Ayer. And we're also starting in Hyannis in terms of our recruitment and data collection. So right now we're just on the cusp of ramping up our recruitment efforts in Hyannis. And again, our goal is to recruit around 700 adults and 200 children in Hyannis. And then sometime next year, probably sometime in late spring, we'll switch over our efforts to Ayer and aiming to recruit 300 adults and 100 children to take part in the study. So what's the goal for the study? The study is to investigate potential links between PFAS exposures and a range of markers of health effects. So these include measures of cholesterol and lipids, thyroid hormones, liver and kidney function, markers of immune system function. We'll be collecting self-reported medical history information. And for children, we'll be administering a set of neurobehavioral tests. So these are learning and memory games that give us a sense of learning and memory in children. Another component for our study will be to reconstruct past exposures. So not just to measure the levels of PFAS in people's bodies right now, which gives us a sense of their exposure in recent years, but also to estimate their cumulative lifetime exposures. PFAS are a new concern, and we only have data for the past few years in terms of the actual levels of PFAS in the air water supply. So another component of our efforts will be to go back in time and to do what we can to reconstruct past exposures. So this part of the study has several different components. One is to identify potential sources, so understanding the extent of, say, foam use at Fort Devens, and to learn more about the sources that might be contributing to PFAS in the spectacle pond wells. Another component will be to model the movement of PFAS chemicals in groundwater to give us a sense over time of when PFAS might have first shown up in the wells and the extent of the contamination over time. Another part of our study will be to model mixing in the distribution system, and we really appreciate the efforts of Dan and Mark Wetzel and others at DPW to help us in this effort. The water within the distribution system is not all the same, and so depending on where you've lived, you may have had different exposures over time. And then without information will also be combined with what our participants report to us in terms of their own personal drinking water consumption patterns. So who is eligible to take part in the study? So for the adults in the study, we'll be looking at anyone ages 18 and older who lived in Ayer between May of 2006 and February of 2018. For children, we're recruiting children ages 4 to 17 who lived in Ayer during those same periods of time. Children may also be eligible if their mothers lived in Ayer during that time prior to children's birth. We know that PFAS can be passed along from mothers to their children during pregnancy and through breastfeeding. Any and all members of the same household can participate as long as each of them meet our eligibility criteria. And you don't have to live in Ayer right now to be eligible. Former residents who lived in Ayer during that time also can participate. Because the focus of the study is on exposures from drinking water, unfortunately, we're not able to include firefighters or other people who may have been exposed to PFAS through their work. So what will participants receive? Well, we'll let you know the results of the blood testing for PFAS and for other clinical markers of effect. So things like cholesterol, thyroid hormones, blood sugar levels. You can have the satisfaction of being part of a really major, important study. The study is getting quite a lot of attention at the national level. So you can feel good that you're contributing to new science that down the road will lead to better regulations that are protective of everyone's health. Participants will also receive gift cards for taking part in the study. So for adults, you can receive up to $50 in gift cards for completing all parts of the study. And for children, because we have the additional component of the neurobehavioral testing, children can receive up to $75 in gift cards. So we're asking for all of your support. And Lori, I think I'll let you walk through this piece of it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just of the folks that I've spoken to so far about this test, we all agree that it's such an important part of understanding what's going on with PFAS, not just in our own community, but actually this is a worldwide problem. So we encourage everybody who's eligible to participate and sign up as soon as you can. So there's more information on the website that's listed there, and we will be posting these slides both on our PACE website. It's going to be on APAC, and I believe it's going to be on the town website as well. So you can get that again. We would also really appreciate if other people involved in various community events or other organizations, church groups, school groups, any other civic association, we want to give this presentation to as many people who are eligible as we can. So your feedback is welcome. And we also are going to be forming, or have started to form, an advisory board specifically to help us move forward with this health study on PFAS in air. And we would love for people to offer to participate. And again, you can go onto the PACE Facebook page or contact us and let us know that you're interested. And there is the various contact information that, again, we'll post this. And that's what we have for our presentation. We just ran out of our 10 minutes, so we're going to see if anybody has any questions. If you have time, we'd be happy to answer questions.
Great. Thank you, Lori, and thank you, Dr. Shader. That was a great presentation in a short amount of time. Any questions from Janice or Scott?
No, I just want to say thank you though for bringing this to our attention again. And Laura, you do a fantastic job on this. Also, I'm so glad that you pointed out, like it's in furniture, clothing, rugs and everything like that, because that piece I think gets kind of forgotten. And you're right, on the national level, this is starting to get even more attention, because I actually saw a headline one day where the federal government is going to start, I think, educating people about this issue or something. So thank you.
Welcome.
I don't have any questions. I'll kind of reiterate what Janice says. There's a lot of information out there that needs to be kind of put together and educated towards people. So thank you for spearheading this for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've had amazing town support all around, not just from Board of Selectmen, but I think, and the DPW, but throughout the town. It's just so impressive about how environmentally conscientious Ayer has become. It makes me very proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments before we close out this portion? If not, Lori, thank you very much. Dr. Sherrod, thank you very much for coming this evening, and for all the work you're doing on this.
Yes, thank you.
Looking forward to continuing the conversation. Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. We look forward to having you back again in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, that brings us to our next agenda item, which is the town manager's report. Mr. Pompergand.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. You have in your packet the town warrants that were reviewed and approved since the board last met. In terms of the administrative update, and in the interest of time, just a couple of items. As I've mentioned, the FY23 budget process is now well underway. The capital requests for all departments were due October 29th. Select Member Hood, who's the chair of the Capital Planning Committee. The first meeting of the Capital Planning Committee will be on Wednesday, November 10th at 4 p.m. This will be a remote participation meeting where the committee will begin to review the capital. We will have all of the capital requests up on the town's website by this Friday on November 5th. The committee will have its work cut out for it, as will the FinCom, the select board, and the town. There are a lot of capital needs and some prioritization and decisions that will need to be made. The rate review committee, we appreciate the board's support tonight on the solid waste piece, and we'll continue to look at the solid waste and transfer station as we mentioned, but we'll now begin to also shift the focus to the development of the water and sewer rates. Related to that, we'd like to, at the November 16th meeting, have a status update for the board on the Devon's wastewater agreement. Just a status update, as the board is aware that's going to be expiring and subject to a new contract. Also, the executive buy board, as well as departments, have been meeting on the development of a proposed opera policy and opera plan. Ultimately, for the board, the American Recovery Act funds. Ultimately, the board will be asking the board to approve a policy and a plan for the use of those funds. The buy board has begun to discuss that. And I think maybe for the November 16th meeting, perhaps Selectman Hood and myself and others will have a more detailed update for the board on that development as we move forward. Also, the CARES funding, if you'll recall, the CARES was the reimbursable COVID program. The CARES program concluded on October 29th. Ms. Gabri, the finance manager, has done a great job with that. We're now in the process, now that it's closed as of the 29th, there may be some ineligible expenses. And as the board will recall from the beginning of the pandemic, when CARES became available, we discussed that this could be a possibility. The good news is, if there are some ineligible expenses, they're not significant. Also, the board will recall through your leadership and the support of town meeting, we increased the reserve fund from 150,000 to 300,000 for this very reason, to sort of be proactive in the event that there were some things that were determined either by FEMA or the state to be ineligible. So we'll have an update and a better sense of that in the next couple weeks now that the program has closed out. Again, on the town's website is the budget process schedule for the public, which the board approved, that has all of the major budget benchmarks as we move forward. Just to save the date, with more exciting news to come in the near future, but we want everybody to save the date of Saturday, December 4th for the annual holiday stroll, which has been a great event that the town has done last several years. And of course, due to COVID last year, we weren't able to. And the public may have noticed that the company has already begun to start to put up some of the holiday lights throughout town on the Rotary and so forth. So just save the date for December 4th. That's a Saturday. We usually do it the first Saturday in December. We'll have more exciting details on the program in the near future. If there aren't any questions from the board on administrative items, I'll get right into the action items, if you will. The first item is the contract award for the Air Police Station for the HVAC rooftop units. You have a memo in your packet from the Facilities Director, Mr. Chuck Schultz. And through you, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to the Facilities Director with the request. Chuck?
Sure. Good evening, Chuck.
Hey, good evening, guys. Thank you for having me this evening. Hey,
Absolutely.
Scott. So I'm recommending to award the bid for the police station HVAC rooftop unit project to Thomas E. Snowden of Saugus. We got 9 bids on October 8, 2021 between $130,000 and $226,000. Thomas E. Snowden was the lowest bidder. I contacted the 3 lowest bidders references: Thomas E. Snowden, TAG Heating and Cooling, A&J Mechanicals. Thomas E. Snowden was found to be the most responsive, eligible bidder, offering the lowest price of $130,000. I also, after doing some research, found that they are in the middle of doing a project for the Ayer Grove Pond Spectacle as a sub bidder, and they completed a project for the Ayer Grove Pond wastewater plant in the late 2019s at a good amount of money, $190,000 for one of the projects and $200,000 for the other project. After speaking to the DPW director, he found no issues with them as subcontractors during the project. So that's a good thing that they worked with us in the past. If approved by the select board tonight, I would begin working with Thomas E. Snowden to put together a contract to present to you guys on November 16, 2021. Thank you for your considerations, and I appreciate your time.
All right. Questions, Janice, Scott?
No questions. Thank you.
Questions?
Okay. I don't have any either.
I have a question.
Who's?
Lori Nearing.
Oh, hi, Lori. Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
I'm still here. You've probably discussed this before. I apologize. I was not aware of this. Is this an energy efficient system using mini splits or the ductless system?
No, it is not. It's replacing the 6 rooftop units. We will be using energy efficient units at 97% efficiency rates, but we do have a couple of ductless units within the building. But to get good air flow, air quality, it is important to keep the rooftop units in place.
I guess it's too late for me to change this issue, but I question that statement, and I'm involved in a big research project for my church, which has very similar current situation, and we are going with mini splits, and I've been researching this for 4 years. So I would like in the future, when we're going to be installing new systems, we need to be thinking differently. We all know why, and we should be using something that's as efficient as can be. And my understanding is that these mini split systems are the most efficient system, and we shouldn't be using other things. So I guess that the board consider that in the future for other installations. It's too late for this one, it sounds like.
Okay. Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Is there any other comments or questions? If not, then I'll entertain a motion. Okay.
I'll make a motion that the select board approve the, wait a minute, lost my, okay. Approve the bid 21 FACO1 police station HVAC rooftop unit replacement with Thomas E. Snowden Incorporated in the amount of $130,000.
Second.
All right, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And the contract is approved. Great, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Members of the board, I'm joined with Mr. Jeff Thomas, the Parks and Rec Director, and Mr. Jason Mayo, the Chair of the Parks Commission, for the next item, item number 3, where we're requesting the board consider the reauthorization of UDAG funds. You were previously authorized for UDAG funds for the parks building. There were some remaining funds in the amount of $14,452, and the Parks Commission unanimously voted to recommend and ask Jeff to come tonight for your consideration to vote to now reauthorize this funds from the Parks building, which is done, and put this towards the Kitty Junction playground study. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to Mr. Thomas, and I know that Mr. Mayo is also on as well. Jeff?
Hi, Jeff.
Thank you, Robert. And Jason and I had talked it over, so I was going to start off, and Jason can also chime in with different thoughts. So as the select board knows, this is a project that's been proposed and ongoing for almost 20 years now, since it was first discovered that there was an issue with the playground and remediation was required. And funding's been sought for some time to do this project, and it's reached a point that we just need to get it done. So it all starts with getting a study, and in 2020 we were appropriated funds to get that study started. Then of course COVID hit, and that made a delay on things. When we finally did get the study up and got some bids in for it, we found that the $20,000 was not going to be sufficient for an appropriate bid for the scope of work that we were looking for. We've been working with Mr. Skalwick and the DPW for some time now on this. So he's been helping us coming up with the best idea for what we want to do with this. We did get 2 bids in, and the only bid that Dan found that was worth accepting was for about $35,000 for the full scope of the project, which was 3 different phases. So we have the $20,000, and then the next step is trying to come up with $15,000 more to complete the study appropriately. That's where we thought the idea of the UDAG funds might be an appropriate use to make up that difference. So we come before the select board with the request to have those funds put toward this project instead.
Okay. Questions?
I have no questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. I don't either. So I will entertain a motion if there's no questions or comments.
I'll make a motion that the Ayer Select Board authorize the Parks and usage of $14,452,000 of UDAG funds be appropriated to the Kitty Depot Junction Playground project.
Seconded.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
I was trying to stay on mute as long as possible. So Her Highness is awake. So
Good to know. All right. Anything else, Jeff?
No, we just want to say thank you to the board for understanding our use of this. And we were able to get quite a few things with leftover funds from the original building project. So the funding that you did offer for us, we did end up using other money for that. So we really appreciate your support on both these projects. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
For being here tonight.
Thanks.
And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the last action item, I'm joined by the town clerk, Susan Copeland, is for your consideration of an amendment to the legal boundary description for the 2020 census re-precincting plan. The board will recall you approved that plan on recommendation of the town clerk at your October 5th meeting. And through you, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it to the town clerk regarding the request for an amendment.
All right,
Susan.
Madam Clerk, welcome.
Hello, good evening. In discussing with Secretary Galvin's office, there was a question in precinct 2. And so on the map, there is a right of way, if you will, access road. And when they asked me about it, I said, well, it's not really a used road. It's the road behind the high school that leaves behind the high school. Is supposed to be a bus road, access road, and it comes out into Groton Harvard Road. The road that's never used except for senior pictures for the yearbook. At any rate, so in doing the right thing, we decided to add, and so in the packet, I sent you a memo. It's the highlighted section. And what that indicates is that access road starting from Groton Harvard Road and it leads up to Washington Street. So I added that and they said, that's fine, but I just felt it was the right thing. I didn't really get a straight answer if I needed to have you vote on this or not, this amendment, but I just felt like it was the right thing to get it done now. And we are, Ayer is set to be approved on Friday, November 5th, with our map and everything. So I just felt we had the time. And so I thank you for letting me kind of scoot in here at the last minute. So that is the recommendation, is just that highlighted section. So then I updated the legal boundary description. Nothing else has changed. Nothing's changed in the map. Nothing's been moved or anything. It's just that they wanted to have that access road recognized. So I figured it was harmless. And if we're current and up to date, then that's even better. So that is my request today.
All right, questions?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve the amendment. Sound about right?
Yeah, trying to figure out how to word it. Hold on. I'll make a motion that the Ayer Select Board approve the adjustment for precinct 2 as presented by the town clerk.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the amendment is approved.
Great.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, that concludes my report. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Great, thank you, Mr. Pombrian. I don't believe there was any new business or select board member questions.
No.
No, not this evening.
Next is the approval of meeting minutes for October 19th, 2021. Were there any changes?
Everything looked good to me.
I didn't have any.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that the Tuesday, October 19th, 2021 meeting minutes be approved as submitted.
Second.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, and the meeting minutes are approved. And I think that was your dog making a motion to adjourn. Was that what was going on? I'll entertain
On behalf of Millie, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and we are adjourned. Thank you,
Good
everybody.
night, everyone.